April 19, 2026, DeFi just got torched. A token printed 10,000% and then imploded, and Bitcoin's grinding at 75,000 while the world goes sideways. Quick shout out to today's sponsor, Compete Token, the gaming crypto that actually has real games. Link in the description. $293 million gone overnight, and DeFi is scrambling. An attacker cracked Kelp DAO's Layer 0 bridge on Saturday, minted 116,000 RSCTH out of thin air, then dumped it on Aave as collateral, and borrowed real crypto against a token that's now worthless. Classic. Aave, DeFi's supposedly battle-hardened lending giant, watched $6.6 billion flee as depositors panicked and the utilization rate spiked to 100%. There's roughly $196 million in bad debt on the books. The Aave token fell 16%, and the umbrella reserve might not even cover the whole 9 protocols hit by contagion. This is what non-isolated lending looks like when a bridge blows up on a Saturday. Speaking of things collapsing, the Rave token just pulled off one of the most audacious pump and dumps of the year. It went from 25 cents to $27 in 9 days, a 10,800% move, then faceplanted 90% in under 24 hours, wiping $5.7 billion in market cap. On-chain investigator Zach XBT says 3 team-linked wallets held 90% of the billion token supply, and large transfers to exchanges right before the pump fit a classic bait and liquidate pattern that squeezed $44 million worth of shorts. Binance and BitGet are both investigating. RaveDAO posted a 6-part denial that didn't address a single specific allegation. A Web3 rave party that ends in a rug? Honestly, that tracks. Alright, enough doom. Here's the good stuff. Bitcoin ETFs just had their best week in 3 months, pulling in $996 million in net inflows. Friday alone brought in nearly $664 million in a single day. That is not retail, that is institutions loading up. And it's not just ETFs. Whale wallets added 270,000 Bitcoin over the past 30 days, about 20 times the daily new supply. The biggest buying spree since 2013. Strategy alone accounted for 16% of that. Wall Street is quietly stacking while the internet argues about DeFi hacks. The signal is obvious. Here's the macro wrench. Bitcoin hit 78,400 on Friday, a 10-week high, then pulled back to 75,000 after Iran reclosed the Strait of Hormuz and the ceasefire fell apart. 260 million in total crypto liquidations over 24 hours, long positions taking most of the damage. Polymarket has Hormuz normalization by end of May at 73% odds, so this is probably temporary noise. Every time this chart dips, it gets bought. 75,000 is holding. If you're dumping Bitcoin because of a temporary oil choke point, you are going to feel very bad about that decision very soon. From DeFi chaos to TradFi capitulation, Charles Schwab and Citadel Securities are both now openly weighing entry into prediction markets. Schwab's CEO said it would be quite straightforward for them to offer, and Citadel's president said they're absolutely keeping an eye on developments. Combined monthly trading volume on platforms like Polymarket and Kalshi hit $23.6 billion in March, a record. When Schwab and Citadel start circling, the market has crossed a threshold. Citadel specifically mentioned election contracts as a hedge tool for institutional portfolios. The suits are coming, and honestly, that is not a bad thing. Galaxy's head of research Alex Thorne dropped a spicy take today. The current Bitcoin cycle is dramatically underperforming every previous halving. The 2012 cycle rallied over 9,000%. The 2016 cycle was nearly 3,000%. Even 2020 was over 700%. This cycle, Bitcoin only ran 97% above its halving price before topping out at 125,000 last October. But flip the framing. Bitcoin's deepest drawdown this cycle was only about 50% compared to the 80 to 90% wipeouts of previous bear markets. Less volatility, shallower crashes, that's what maturity looks like. Vanex CEO said Bitcoin should start grinding higher through 2026. 75,000 and holding is a different kind of cycle, not a broken one. A federal judge just ruled that the Caitlyn Jenner meme coin is not a security, tossing the class action lawsuit from buyers who lost thousands when the token collapsed. The judge said buyers weren't pooling funds for a common enterprise, they were buying a celebrity token for entertainment. Case dismissed. The Jenner token launched on Pump.Fun in May 2024, peaked at $7.5 million in market cap, and has since lost essentially all of its value. Not a security, but also not a great investment. The real takeaway is that the legal framework is slowly getting defined, one disastrous meme coin at a time. Progress. America's industrial Rust Belt is becoming Bitcoin infrastructure. Aluminum giant Alcoa is selling its dormant Messina East smelter in upstate New York to Bitcoin miner NYDIG. The plant has been idle since 2014, but it comes preloaded with substations, transmission lines, and cheap hydropower from the New York Power Authority. This is the second major smelter to Bitcoin conversion this year. Century Aluminum sold its Kentucky plant to TeraWulf for $200 million earlier in 2026. Industrial sites built for 24/7 power demands now perfectly match what Bitcoin mining needs. The factories shut down and the miners moved in. That is not a story about decline. That is a story about reinvention. Senator Elizabeth Warren sent a letter to SEC Chair Paul Atkins this week accusing him of possibly misleading Congress. The SEC's own data shows enforcement actions are now at the lowest level in over 20 years, and Warren says Atkins played dumb about it at a February hearing. Here's the honest take. The SEC under the previous administration was throttling crypto with enforcement by ambush, and Atkins has dialed that back. Warren framing that as abdicating responsibilities is pure political spin. Atkins has until April 28th to respond. This showdown is basically the entire crypto regulatory debate compressed into two people writing letters at each other. Grab some popcorn. And finally, WorldCoin dropped 13% today, even as the World Project announced integrations with Zoom, DocuSign, and Tinder, all using its iris scanning tech to verify that real humans, not bots, are on the other side of calls, contracts, and date requests. The use case is genuinely solid. As AI agents increasingly act on behalf of people, you need proof that an actual human stands behind each one. Zoom preventing deepfakes, DocuSign verifying signers, Tinder filtering bots. These are real applications. But the token dropped to 28 cents on the news. April 19, 2026 was not WorldCoin's day. Don't sleep on Compete Token, the gaming crypto that actually ships real games. Link in the description. That's Crypto Pulse for April 19, 2026. Subscribe, stay sharp, and I'll see you tomorrow.